wetland is very good to me. I don't want no one at all to destroy it. You know, see, the tree, if I go up there and say I want someone cutting the tree, the red mangrove or the white mangrove, I tell them to leave it alone.
The Black River Lower Morass is more than a wetland. It is a place of life, tradition, and heritage, where nature and culture intertwine. For the communities of Black River, the wetland is not just an ecosystem. It is a way of life, a source of food, and a living classroom of traditional knowledge.
Wetlands like those that are found in Black River are fundamental to our fisheries sector. In fact, there would be no fisheries sector without our wetlands. All our fishing beaches, such as Parity, Galleon, where our fishers go out, the reality is that the nurseries for those fish are our wetlands. And not just our fish, our middle quarters peppered shrimp that we love so much. Those nurseries are found in the Black River.
The Black River Morass is actually a Ramsar site, meaning it is a wetland of international importance. It is also the largest wetland in the English-speaking Caribbean, and it is a huge part of Black River's heritage and also the livelihoods of many fishermen and us who conduct eco-tours on the Black River.
So healthy wetlands literally contribute to a healthy country, a healthy society. They create livelihoods, but they also create buffers between us and nature. So in the recent Hurricane Melissa, we'd have seen over 2,000 hectares of mangrove forests between St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland badly degraded. Now, when one contemplates a storm surge that would have protected us from, you can imagine the level of damage would have been far worse if you didn't have healthy mangrove forests in those areas to protect you from what was a very bad storm surge.
The knowledge and practices passed through generations have sustained the Black River wetland and the people who depend on it.
You know, without the traditional knowledge of our wetlands, we would be worse off as a country. Our local people know where our mangroves were originally, know where they grow, know how flooding and water channels operate. And in fact, we have to use those traditional knowledge to keep our wetlands safe, to keep our wetlands strong. So it is fundamental that those who know are activated as a part of our wetlands protection system, that they are consistently utilized, called upon, that their knowledge is used in looking at things like development permits, in looking at things like developing our roadways. Those things are critical, especially if we're going to look at removal of any of our mangroves. That should not be done without local knowledge being consulted.
You know, science is very important to understand academically and scientifically the environment around us so that we know how best to treat it and how to have the least possible impact on the environment. But you know, you never ignore what your grandmother used to tell you, right? So understanding how these ecosystems function, what is cyclical and what is not, from a time where there may not have been documented tracking of these things is particularly important. So engaging with elders, with community-based organizations, with persons that live in the area to better understand how these systems operate is particularly important.
Traditional knowledge has definitely helped us to know that the practices, some of the practices that we used to do in the past used to cause harm. At times there used to be dunder released into the river, accidentally of course. We know that that causes great destruction, kills a lot of the small fish and shrimp, and that damages the population of fish and also the population of crocodiles on the wetland, in the wetland. Also, when we have wildfires at times, they rage on for days. However, we do know that a rising tide or rainfall will put them out.
Yeah, you have rule up the river, you know. While they practice the rule, you must not run hard on the river. Hard on the river, you're supposed to chuckle. But you see when you run the engine hard on the river, you see the banking, it rock like this and break off and wash go into the ocean. So you're killing the wetland.
Hurricane Melissa reminded us of the critical role wetlands play in protecting both people and livelihoods. Their preservation is a safeguard against nature's worst.
Hurricane Melissa really should have taught you that you have to treat nature with the respect that it truly deserves, because when it fights back, it's ugly.
From the evidence that we can see, it seems as if storm surges probably as high as 40 feet came through here. Up to say approximately 6-7 miles upriver, we can still see areas of damage where waves would have flattened grass, trees and everything. What also occurred was that our building, despite having some very heavy metal roller shutters were destroyed completely. Unfortunately, we suffered a bit of looting as well. Damage to our gazebo areas, our storeroom areas, so pretty much extensive damage right across the property. Some of our boats got washed away into remote spots in the wetlands, which we haven't been able to recover all of them, yet only 2 so far.
We go out to sea, see them, me and my brother go out to sea, and me carrying 14 pot and put them over there, so I left 9 out there. And when me come back around here, my boat, this when me see me stand up here, my boat mash up. When me say, tears come out of my eye.
I think sometimes we take for granted our wetlands. I think we take for granted our mangroves. I think we take for granted the ecosystem that comes out and the livelihoods that depend on our wetlands. I think Hurricane Melissa has shown us that we must protect our wetlands, and that where wetlands are destroyed, where mangrove systems are destroyed, then our ability to withstand things like storm surges becomes significantly reduced. I've said it already and I'll say it again. Our first wall of protection from some of these elements is the protection that are God-given through our wetlands, our mangroves. So we have to protect them. We have to protect them if we want to see a strong fisheries sector. Again, we are seeing, because of overfishing, because of mangrove depletion, that our nearshore fish population has significantly deteriorated. What that means is that our fishers are now having to go further afield for them to support their livelihoods. It costs them much more for them to maintain their fisheries, and it costs us as a country when we're unable to get that protein and then have to depend on other countries far afield for importation. So the solution is protecting and building back our mangroves.
Preserving wetlands is preserving culture, livelihoods, and the future. Together, communities and government can ensure these treasures endure.
If you live on the hill, you affect what happens in the ocean, right? Each ecosystem is interconnected. Every part of our environment is interwoven. The public has to start to become more conscious.
Wetlands should be viewed as more than swamps. They're very complex ecosystems that give home to many different marine creatures, many different forms of plants. In fact, on this very wetland, we have a species of fern endemic to this very wetland here. Nowhere else in the world can you find it, not even in Fern Gully. So it is very important that Jamaicans understand the value of these wetlands, not just think of it as a piece of bush over there. So.
From where I go, I come up and tell you, say, protect what you have. Protect what you have. For you don't know when you will get it back. So protect what you have. Yes. For Jamaica, you see Jamaica, I feel it.
On World Wetlands Day, we are reminded that wetlands sustain our lives, our culture, and our future. Protecting them today ensures they endure for generations to come.